Welcome back, everybody. This is the Blue Chip Breakdown, and we're your hosts, Bull and Timmy G, and it is our midweek chat for Tennessee versus Vandy. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We did it a little bit different this week. We've got a Q&A actually started. This will be my first time doing it, so I have no idea if it's going to show up for me right here in the chat, but I'll be, navigating back and forth just to make sure. But if you do have any, questions, comments, concerns, whatever, please try to submit it to that Q&A that we have going, and y'all should see that. Please let me know if you do see it. Give me a thumbs up or something like that. So, while we're waiting for everybody to get into the chat, Tim, man, how are you feeling about this week? Obviously, a whole lot of playoff implications going up against a hated rival, Vandy. I heard something about Coach Clark Lee. I heard that he said something. I have not caught that. Did you catch what he said?
No, I haven't seen anything, and I've been on Twitter all day, man. So I haven't seen anything posted on that. If he did, what did he supposedly say?
So the gist of it, from what I gathered, was that it just sounded like he was fired up. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like he was angry, maybe like angry at Tennessee, whatever. So we already know Vandy's going to come out fired up, ready to play. I just want for folks to understand this. That's going to happen every single week. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are going to want to beat Tennessee. UTEP did. Like, we saw UTEP came out with their best shot. Obviously, Vanderbilt being a much more talented team, that's a different story. But everybody's going to give us their best shot. And some of y'all, might have forgot about the 90s, but that's how it was. That's where we want to be. So that does not concern me. I was just curious as to what he said. But how do you feel about this ball game, though?
I'm ready for it. I mean, let's face it. This is their Super Bowl, right? And this is a monster game for us. You win this, you're in the first ever 12-team playoff. I mean, this is huge. And they're, to say they're much improved is an understatement. They've got a pretty decent defense. Pavia is, the kid is good. He's a little beat up right now, from what I understand, but man, the kid is good, and doesn't matter what team you are, he poses a challenge. So you're going to have to be prepared for him. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are excellent points. Yeah, I mean, he's very, very good. He does magic back there. It's funny because I just now heard, I think it was earlier this week or something, that he actually, like, one of his biggest role models for football is Johnny Football. And I think he does play like him, and that would explain all the little, money signs that he's doing wearing number 2. But he's not the same. I mean, he's definitely not Johnny Football by any means, but he does have some of that baller to him, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Supposedly he watches Manziel hype reel before every game. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe. I mean, hey, whatever it takes to get you in the right headspace, right?
Oh man, listen, 100%. So P and I, growing up, we watched. It was it was actually several of the Tennessee highlight, full season highlights. We will watch that like every night before game day, and really, I mean, shoot, we might have watched that every night, almost every day, but. That's how we got ready. You know what I'm saying? And then once I got older, it would be Tennessee highlights. I love watching Eric Berry, Deion Sanders, several different players. But I think that is very, very true, because that is something that players most definitely do. And it's funny, too, because some players like Nico, he's listening to, like Luther Vandross and stuff pregame. I was never one of those. Like, I had to listen to something. Yeah, man. Yep. Yep. Out there listening to Luther, but I think that's good though, because it calms you down. Quarterback's got to be cool, so I actually like it for him. But like for me, playing on defense, I couldn't listen to nothing slow like that. I had to have something really up tempo, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that was me. I was look, it had to be like I needed some metal before I got in there, man. I mean, I was a defensive guy. That was my thing. I played some on offense, but defense was my. Look, it was all about hitting somebody. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to come out and just, lay a hit. That's all I wanted.
100%. So also, y'all, please do make sure to like and subscribe once you do come in. Again, if you're just coming in, we do have the Q&A started. So please submit your thoughts, your questions, concerns to that. And I'm going to be looking on the other screen here in just a minute, because I'm not seeing them popping up on this side. But either way, we will be getting to the status report. That should be coming out here probably like within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So we'll see what's going on just as far as the injuries for Tennessee, Vandy. We'll look around the entire league, because there's several other games. For me, y'all, and I've said this a million times, but the biggest thing is, can Tennessee get a home game, in that first round? That's the best case for us, because we can't get the first round bye because we can't go to the conference championship. I'm cool with that. I think that it actually worked out better for us that way because nobody really wants to go to that. No one knows what's going to happen with it. But I think that Tennessee could end up getting a first round bye. So, Tim, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know that you did chime in, with some thoughts the other night with the conference football or the college football playoff ranking show.
Well, I was just hoping we would be ranked a little bit higher. Was all. I actually figured, maybe us and Georgia would both be ahead one more spot than what we were, which would have, given us a home game. That's all I was really concerned about. I mean, let's face it. This thing isn't done yet. Like a lot of teams are getting ready to play. I mean, there's no telling how this thing could look when it's all said and done. And I'm kind of curious to see what happens with these championship games, man. I've got some thoughts, but I don't know. And the way these people are putting people, obviously strength of schedule doesn't have anything to do with what they're considering here. Otherwise, it would look a lot different. It would look a lot different. But I mean, you've got Texas A&M and Texas coming up this weekend. Who wins that? That can definitely change the landscape of things if it's Texas A&M, and you've still got an SEC championship game. This is going to be played, and I probably expect Georgia to be in that. So it's going to be interesting, man. But we just got to beat Vandy, right? That's it. Just beat Vandy. Take care of business and let everything else sort itself out.
Yeah, and I think that that's what makes me feel the best about this whole situation is that right now Tennessee is in a spot where all we got to do is beat Vandy, and we will make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we are the much better team, y'all. I know the Vandy's played other teams very close. I think that especially with teams like Bama, maybe they was caught slipping. Maybe they overlooked Vandy some. But for us, having UTEP last weekend, that was perfect for us because that was essentially like a bye for us. I know that we started to install for Vanderbilt's offense, and there's not a whole lot. There's a lot of different plays, but it's the same idea. It's the same principles. So, I think that as long as we have that stuff down pat, then Tennessee will be fine. And the offense will – you just got to, just take what Vandy gives you. Right here from my brother, P. What's going on, P? He's saying that eye discipline and tackling are keys for the defense. Our linebackers and turn times scare me against teams that show a lot of eye candy. Yeah, those are really good points. And that would probably be my biggest concern. We will pull up some stats and things like that here in just a minute. We'll also take another look at the college football playoff rankings and all that if you have questions on that. But yeah, I mean, that would probably be my biggest concern. And I know that I didn't talk as much about the linebackers this week, but the reason for that is, even though it's my biggest concern, just to let y'all know where I'm really at with it, I feel confident with them because they've done such a good job here lately of understanding what the offense is trying to do. And our defense in general this entire season versus quarterbacks that are mobile, we've shut them down. You can go to Taylor Green for Arkansas. You can go to Milroe from Alabama. You can go to Lagway from Florida. They didn't do a whole lot with their legs. Now, what does concern me maybe also, again, with the eye discipline and stuff, is more about the pass coverage. We didn't look great with our linebackers and our safeties versus Georgia with their tight ends, but it might be different in this one just because there's not too many things to have to worry about. It's the read option stuff, and then it's that tight end. The cornerbacks can man up on the outside and just take care of business. So the people, on the middle of our defense don't have to worry about that too much. So that's kind of like where I'm at with it. Hopefully things will kind of, play out the way that we're hoping. But let me get to some more of these right here from Money Controls It All. What's going on, buddy? Saying maybe Jordan Thomas can step in for Will Brooks next year or turn time. Turn time has been bad at times, bad angles, missed coverage assignments, biting on pump fakes. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with all those things. He has not been perfect, but I'm going to tell y'all something about turn time that I love about him compared to last season. He's coming downhill. I mean, he's coming downhill. He's trying to be he is being physical. He doesn't always make the tackles. Yeah, his angles aren't always perfect, but you can see that he's triggering. He's getting there, or at least he's trying to. That, to me, is a lot more encouraging than what I thought coming into the season, because I thought that he was a player that we couldn't even trust to try to stick his nose in there. If you're going to try, we can work with that. So, but yeah, I most definitely feel you on that. Jordan Thomas, Tim, what do you think about him? Maybe, come back and playing at star, because now Boo is showing up in a very major way.
Man, Boo is, I just don't think, Boo is everything we hope for. right? I mean, there's been no letdown on him. And honestly, I would love to see them Travis Hunter him, man. Put him in at slot on offense. I mean, the kid is
Yeah.
dynamic when he touches the ball. Like I would love to see them do all sorts of things with Boo. He's obviously he is dynamic as a punt returner. Like when he touches the ball, he can make some magic happen. But as far as were you saying swapping turn time
For Jordan Thomas. So maybe not even necessarily swapping, because you know what? Turn time could that's what Money Controls It All was saying. But for me, I'm saying they might be able to start side by side. It could be turn time, and then it could be Jordan Thomas at the other safety. Because right now it's turn time and Will Brooks. But he was talking about once Will Brooks leaves, hey man, we've got a whole lot of people there. But what do you think just about Jordan Thomas moving back to safety?
could possibly. I mean, you've also got Shady coming in next year. If I mean, I'm really excited about him, man. I think he's got some really good tools. I really want to see him play, but I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility. I think they've got a lot of options with having two lockdown corners that that are coming back. Like there's a lot of things they can do, and they've definitely got some talent back there now. So I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how many people actually stick around, though. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the $1 million question.
Yeah.
And actually, we're going to go ahead and pull up the status report because it is updated at this point. So this right here. Oh, is this the correct one? Okay, hold on one second. This is the wrong one. I got y'all on. Give me just a second. I'm going to switch that out. But we will get to it because there's some things there that might be pretty interesting for us. I kind of skimmed over it as you was talking right there, Tim. All right, so let's go ahead and pull it up now. Okay, so this is us right here. Obviously, Jordan Thomas, we just talked about him. Keenan Pili, Vyson Lang is going to be out. Cole Harrison, he wasn't, those last two players, those really nobody from that list was going to be playing. Christian Charles is questionable. That could be a little bit of an issue, but really with a team like this, my only concern would be with Edris Farouk. We saw what happened versus Georgia whenever he got in a goal line situation, not knowing what to do. This is a team that's going to target the young players. So, and they're going to try to trick you with it. Wouldn't want for him to come in. So if Christian Charles can't go, now all of a sudden, we've got Edris who bumps up, and maybe he would be one of the guys that would come in his place. Jordan Rawls, he's a, big-time special teams guy. Hopefully he can go. And then Jackson Lampley, I think that he's looked a lot better later on in the season at backup guard for us. And then for Vandy, I'm not seeing any names here that stand out to me. I feel like I say this every single week, Tim. I don't see any names here that stand out to me as far as the players that are out or even questionable. So, we should be good. But is there anything here, Tim, that stands out to you?
No, I don't recognize. I mean, unfortunately, I'm such a Tennessee homer. I don't recognize any of these guys unless they're a game breaker. I mean, the only one I would recognize on here would probably be Pavia, and I can't remember whatever that one tight end they have that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of the only two.
Or Stowers or something.
Stowers or something. Yeah. Wasn't he like QB or something? Like
maybe that. You know what? That happens a lot. Quarterbacks that aren't that good at throwing, they turn into tight ends quite frequently because they've got that big body type anyway. But
true. Yeah. No, I mean I don't really recognize anybody on here. I mean, obviously they've got several out now. Whether they're starters or backup pieces, I don't know. But it definitely looks like they're a little bit more dinged up than we are.
Yeah. And that's the good thing, man. We just gotta keep that going. I'm not even gonna speak on it too much, but let's get back to some more of these chats. Right here from Money Controls It All. Jalen has improved tremendously from his first start. That was bad, real bad. He had a rough one early on the field. He is looking good. Yeah, I think that Jalen Smith, who I believe that's who you're talking about, playing at linebacker for us as a redshirt freshman. He might be a sophomore. Either way, I think that he has come along very, very quickly. And that goes back to the point, Tim, that we've all been kind of, beaten for. Play these guys. Put them out there as much as possible because they improve so much whenever you give them those opportunities, right?
100%. I think that's what we saw happen with the offensive line after After the Arkansas game when we were having to rotate in so many guys, I've seen those guys really improve. The only way you're going to improve is you've got to get reps, and you've got to get reps in game. And I think we've seen that. I mean, our linebackers too. We've seen our linebackers improve over the course of the season. When some of those guys were coming in, we were like, man, I don't know. And now we're like, hey, man, he's looking pretty good.
Yep.
So,
Facts. Yeah. All right. So let's get to this one right here from P. Let's see what he's talking about. He's saying we seem to do a better job stopping mobile quarterbacks from running than pocket guys. It's talking about Milroe, talking about Jackson Arnold, and he's also talking about Taylor Green compared to Beck. That's an excellent point, P. And I don't know if I touched on that in a video, but it is something that I've thought for sure, because it seems like whenever that's the main point of emphasis for us, we have such pass rush lane integrity for the most part. My biggest concern, though, is with the ends and letting people get out, like the quarterbacks get outside of them. We got to stop doing that. But I also think that's a big part of the reason that Tennessee has not had more sacks, because we're driving home the point of pass rush lanes so much. So I'm not too concerned about him, maybe scrambling towards the middle of the field. But at the same time, he's probably a guy that you want to spy in certain down and distances. Like, you need to put somebody on him just to make sure that he can't just run wild on you, because he can do some really nice things if you let him move around. Peter's also saying when we prepare for dual threats, we usually contain the quarterback's legs well. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yes, sir.
Now let's see what else we got from Money Controls at all. Shader will play and be good, but it will depend on how he adapts to the speed of SEC. Also, FUGA. Hey man, I love every time that you say that because that's so truthful. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is such an honest take from you. But yeah, I'm gonna tell you, Shady is a player that I've watched. I've watched full games of Shady, and he's playing in a lower classification. It's down in South Georgia. But what you notice about him is, I mean, he stands out. He's bigger than everybody. He's faster than everybody. And he is a dog. Even watching him going through some of the, like secondary drills and stuff, you can see it. He's definitely got that pop. He's got that burst. Now, the speed of the total game, it is different. I think that's something for me going from high school to college. It wasn't even really the speed of the game. It was more of maybe like you have to be a lot tighter in your coverage. The ball is going to be coming faster. So maybe that is kind of like the speed of the game. But I think that he's going to be fine. I think that if he can come up early, especially if he can come for, like bowl prep and all that type of stuff and really get to see it, and then in spring get to, really go up against these guys more, he's one of those guys that's such a good athlete. I think that he will adjust very quickly. Now, I'm going to get back to the chat here in just a second, but let's get to some of these other games. Let's see if we can pinpoint some of the other people that are out, because there's several big games. Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. I guess we can skim through this. Is there anybody that's worth looking at? I'm going to do this real quick. If you see some, Tim, just let me know. Okay, so I see right here that Trey Harris for Ole Miss is questionable right now. Obviously, that's a totally different team whenever he's playing. But he seems to kind of stay banged up. So there's nothing there that stands out to me. Now, Arkansas versus Mizzou. This one's going to be interesting, because if Arkansas does beat Mizzou, that makes Tennessee's strength of schedule look a lot better, and it would weaken teams like Alabama's strength of schedule even more, because they didn't play Arkansas, and they did play up against Mizzou. Now, I don't know how many points we get for that, because we did lose to Arkansas, but this is one that I would definitely be cheering for Arkansas, and just because that would at least make our loss look a little bit better. Right. So for Arkansas, I don't see anybody. Yeah, there's nobody that I see right here that stands out to me. For some reason, Braylon Russell, that name looks a little bit familiar.
Yes.
And for Mizzou, do you see anybody here? I don't see anybody that's new.
No, they got, good Lord, look at all the out, though. It's not even, they've got one questionable, and that's it.
Yeah. The one thing that I will say is it looks like their quarterback, he's not on this list. So if he he's not on this list. So with him going, I mean, that could help them out for sure. That's something for the people that like to put money on these games. Auburn versus Alabama. Let's see. Who does Auburn got out? I don't even know Auburn's players. So I'll skim through and see if there's anybody that maybe stands out. I don't see anything. There's a tight end that's a game time decision. He might be one of their guys. I don't know. That's probably going to be big for them with the sort of offense that they run. I think that their offense is very similar to kind of like Vandy's, except for Vandy can at least throw the football down the field. But Auburn is dude, it is a straight up option and dink and dunk and hope that it's not a pick six. For Alabama, that name Lawson looks very familiar.
Lawson looks familiar, but I'm thinking
Obviously, Saab is one. I don't know how
yeah,
long he's been out. And then Quindarius Robinson, that name looks very familiar as well. So, that might kind of hurt them. Now, Oklahoma and LSU, obviously, I think we all got to go for Oklahoma in this one. That would be another really big win for us. And obviously, they've got a bunch of people that are, oh my God,
good
but they've
Lord,
been dealing
yeah.
with that all season, right?
Yeah, there's Adri's cousin right there.
Oh,
Jaleel.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Jaleel Farouk. Yep.
Yeah, he's supposed to be their best wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's been out all season. I think he broke his foot.
Yeah, he's been out for a while. And for LSU, I wouldn't even know their players. Yeah, there's nobody here that stands out. Now, this is a huge one. Excuse me, Texas versus Texas A&M. Let's see if we can pinpoint some people here, y'all, that maybe we might know. For Texas, Texas is kind of rolling like Tennessee is, where it ain't a whole lot of they had all those running backs, pretty much all the injuries that they have, that all happened early, just, pretty much just like Tennessee. So they're doing a good job of staying healthy. And then for A&M, I don't see anybody that just absolutely stands out. You know what? Le'Veon Moss, that name sounds familiar, but he might have been out for some time. Right. So I can't really call that. All right, so that's pretty much it for the SEC stuff. We'll go ahead and pull that down. Okay, so let's get on back to the chat. I want to hear everyone's thoughts. If you have any thoughts on the injury or on the status report and all that good stuff. And okay, so we already got to this one. Let me also get to this one from Money Controls at All. He's saying, okay, very true, Pete. All right, we'll skip that one, and we'll get to Lamone's Jr. saying, go Big Orange. Appreciate y'all for joining us. Now, Pete is also, okay, so he's going back at him.
Yeah.
All right, go Big Orange. So right here from Fitty saying that Vandy was a problem deep into fourth quarter for Texas in Austin. Yes, they were. Vandy is a good football team. I'm not. Please don't take it like I'm overlooking Vanderbilt, because I'm not. I know that they are a very good football team. I just think Tennessee's better. I just think that we match up very well versus what Vanderbilt likes to do. And then there's some teams that you just have that mental edge over, and Vanderbilt's always been one of those, or, since I've been living, it's always been one of those 4-hour volunteers. But Tim, how do you feel about that, man? Because, obviously Vandy is good, but do you think Tennessee still has that mental edge over them?
I do, but I think this year they've got that kind of confidence, just because they beat Alabama, they think they can do anything if they come out and play right. So they're a dangerous team just because they do have that kind of confidence. But if you come out and score on them too, a couple times pretty quick, that can kill that momentum pretty fast.
Yeah, you know what? That's an excellent point. I don't think that they've played from behind in the games that they've won, especially these big ones. I don't know if they've done that too much, and their offense isn't even built for that. They're really not, especially if you get up by multiple scores and you turn them into just a, pass first sort of a team. Then at that point, Tennessee has them right where we want them, because their tackles, they're not that great in pass protection. Not if it's a true, pass set. And if everybody knows it, those are guards that they put out there at tackle because they had nobody else. So our edge guys, they should be able to eat. But just the offense has to do what it does. Let's go ahead and pull up some of these stats real quick. Let's get to this real quick. So this is their offense versus our defense. Y'all can see these numbers. We're winning in every single major category, statistically speaking, outside of turnovers. And it's just because they don't really turn the football over. Like our defense, look at that. We have 10 picks this season. 10 picks. Our secondary was supposed to be the weak spot of this defense or of this whole team. 10 picks. Come on. Come on.
That's good.
That has got to make you feel great about where this team can be at. It's just that the vertical passing game, that's the part that really has to get going. So, all those numbers for me, they look good. And actually, I'm gonna go back real quick because there's something else. The main thing about Vanderbilt is what? Running the football with the triple option. They're ranked number 85 in rushing this season. So some teams have figured it out. I watched that Georgia State game. What Georgia State did is they blitzed them a lot. And Vandy never was able to, they never had a counterpunch to that. So that's something that maybe Tennessee does. I don't think that we need to, but if push comes to shove, you can always just bring the daggum house and see, okay, hey, Pavia, are you really that dude? Can you really make those types of plays? Because it's totally different because we got you shut down, right, with the guys on the outside, and we bring in everybody else pretty much. What are you going to do, right? So I feel like that would definitely play into Tennessee's favor. And then also third down, that's huge, dude. For them to be ranked number 117 in third down conversions on offense with the way that they control the football, that stat right there, whenever I saw it, that one really stuck out to me because that doesn't even make any logical sense. So these are some of their key players. Obviously, we know about Pavia, Cedric Alexander. That's their running back. That's one of them. They've got a few that they will, hand the football off to. And, they'll pitch it to him. They'll throw it to him. Cedric right here, he's a guy that's really good at catching the football out of the backfield. What I loved, and we talked about Jalen Smith earlier, I love the fact that where he kind of struggled with picking up the running backs coming out of the backfield earlier, now he is on top of them quick. So you love to see guys picking things up like that. And then next we have Stowers or Stowers. I don't know how to say his last name. But, he's only 6'4", 235. So inside of our system, that would be too small. Like you couldn't start at that size for us. But he does have good speed. He's been clocked as fast as 21.5 miles per hour. So out of all the guys that we're looking at right now, he would be the fastest. They've got one wide receiver. Which one? I think it's Quincy Skinner, who's gotten up to like 21 miles per hour even. And then everyone else is at like 20 miles per hour. So that's still fast. But we've got several guys that are pushing 22 miles per hour just this season on defense. So we should be able to stick with everybody man-to-man coverage with pretty much no problems. But, Junior Sherrill, he would be more of the, he's kind of like the slot guy. But both of these guys will be interchangeable, right? Like they move them all over the place. They run pretty much the exact same routes. But, I would say that Sherrill will be the least consistent. The next one, Quincy Skinner, he's a lot more consistent. He has good size. To me, he's more of an NFL body, and he makes tough catches. Both of these, all their entire team, offense, defense, special teams, they're going to play hard. They're going to play tough. So, we are in for a fight. But, Tim, like you said, man, we got to get up early. We got to, kill all their confidence. And once we do that, I think that we will skate away with this game and, just kind of ride off into the sunset or ride off into the playoffs. All right, so these are this is Tennessee's offense versus Vandy's defense. Again, we're winning in every single category except for the red zone on this one because our red zone offense hasn't been good this season. We got to get that fixed. There's no reason with all the tools that we have that we're not scoring more there. For me, it's a lack of, well, it could be it could be based off the play calling, but it could also be the execution hasn't been that great. Tim, what do you think the problem is with our red zone right now?
From recent memory, I would say, a lot of times we shoot ourselves in the foot, man. We get down the red zone and all of a sudden, oh, hey, false start. We get a hold or we get something that you get those drive killing penalties, man, that push you back out of the red zone. And then we get behind the chains and some little stuff like that. That is a kind of a shocking stat to look at that we're 98th in that. It's not really something you expect from a Josh Heupel offense, right?
No.
So I don't know what to think about that. I'd have to look at it, but I would bet a big part of that has been just drive killing penalties and like you said, man, just not executing properly.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see, man. That's something that hopefully Tennessee can get righted in this game. We've talked a lot about trying to get our vertical passing game going. I think it'll be tough to do in this game unless we scheme things up, which I don't feel like Tennessee's going to stick to the exact same, like quad set and all that, where, we've got two wide receivers or two passing or two receiving threats on both sides. So, we will mix some things up and give them some different looks. But I do want to see the playbook. I want to see a multitude of different things in this game. Like all the things that we're good at, I want to see. So right here, these are their key players on defense. There's a bunch of linebackers because if y'all didn't hear our breakdown on their defense earlier this week, they actually run a 2-4-5, which is 2 down defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 5 secondary players. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the first time that Tennessee has seen that defense this season. So, there's a lot of speed. A lot of the guys that we would consider to be like ends or pass rushers, they're actually linebackers, technically speaking. But anyway, they've got some guys here that I think play well. For me, the best two would be Fontenette right there, who plays star, the second guy, 6'2", 220 pounds. And that's a star just like ours. Basically, that nickel player on defense. He's really good. They're going to blitz him a ton. I think he's solid in coverage. He's a really good athlete. Obviously, he has good size. He plays kind of like a linebacker and also, like a safety, I would say. So he's got a really good combination of size, speed, and strength. And then the next player I think that is really good is Langston Patterson. He's going to be number 10, and he's a linebacker. He plays Mike. He also plays Will. He's really good. He's not a huge thumper, but he does a really good job just of getting into his run fits and things like that. So we just got to do a good job with our offensive linemen, with our tight ends, of getting up to the second level. And something that has frustrated me with our team is that we tend to duck our heads and miss blocks because we're trying to, lay people out. You don't have to do that. Just get your body in front of their body. That's all you got to do for just that split second. And that would be enough for Tennessee to have a field day. They've also got a really good defensive tackle. I think he might be number 98. Man, he's kind of like a shorter, stumpier guy, almost like a Big E, but not quite as big. But, man, he's very, very powerful, very strong. So he's another one. That's going to be a pretty fun matchup to see him versus Coop and Andre Carrick and Spraggs and everybody else. But he stood out to me on film. Anybody that would stand out to you here, Tim, or any thoughts that you have just about Vandy's defense?
No, not really. I mean, that's a pretty wild defense they run, though. I mean, that's
Yeah.
something you just don't see hardly anywhere.
Yeah.
2, 4, 5.
Yep.
That's
hopefully
Dylan Sampson has a really good day with that.
He should.
What I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, from what I was watching, in their last games, seemed like they were not that great against the run versus LSU, and I don't think LSU's really a great running team. So hopefully we can make use of that.
Yeah, I would definitely expect for this to be a game that we really try to stick to the run. I just want to see us mix in more running backs because we don't have to always ride Dylan Sampson. Now, there is a single season rushing record that he's trying to break, and I don't have the exact yardage that he's off by, but I don't think that I know that the staff would want for him to break it, but they're not gonna, they're not gonna put their game plan to the side just to try to get him those yards. We're going to try to win the ball game first, and we're going to, especially once it's well in hand, we're going to look more towards hopefully some of the other backup running backs so that he can rest for playoffs. But my whole point there is just to say that I do think that versus a defense like this, you should have a lot more success running it. And it's funny, Tim, because I think last season there was only like maybe 5 teams in all of college football that ran this defense. Texas was one of them. Michigan was actually one of them. And you know what? The crazy thing is, if I'm not mistaken, all those defenses were actually really good. So it's a defense that if you run it well, you can have success doing it. But I'm not saying that Vandy doesn't run it well. They just don't have the same type of personnel as those other teams did. But essentially, it should give you a whole lot more speed on the field. So let me bring this down, and then we'll come back to some more of that. Let me get to some more of these chats right here. Okay, right here from Money Controls It All, saying that everything I've watched of yours on Shady, he looks like he has that dog in 100%. Craves violence for sure. Wakes up and chooses it. Man, those are some. This is a football guy right here. This is a football guy. He said, I love it. That's a top thing I look for in players, not ones that avoid contact. 100%, man. That sounds like some old school Georgia football coming out of you right there to me. Not Georgia, not the University of Georgia, but just the state of Georgia. Also saying that Lawson is their best linebacker. His knee, I think, popped against OU on a non-contact cut. Okay, so that's interesting. That is really, really interesting. So I don't know if I've seen him play this. Well, I mean, I guess I probably have. I wonder what his number was. But yeah, they've got some really good players. I'm gonna tell you, especially playing linebacker, number 20. Number 20, I don't know his name, but he also flashed to me. I don't know who their linebackers coach is either, but let's just say, knock on wood, if Tim Banks takes a job somewhere else, and if William Inge gets the DC spot, and then that linebacker spot does come open, I would love to go get Vanderbilt's linebacker coach because I love how they play. And then also for Money Controls It All, Miss is TAMU best running back. Okay, all right. So I wonder who you're talking about. Okay, all right. So that might have been from way earlier.
Yeah, we're way back. Yeah.
All right, so Moss. Okay, he was talking about Moss.
Yeah.
All right, so from Richard Patton is saying, how's Bowl tonight? I'm doing well, Richard. I hope that you're doing well also. And well, I hope Tennessee is going to do something that no one can see coming, win a championship. 100%, man. I feel so good about it. Yeah, go ahead.
We got a chance, man. I mean, we've been dying for something like this for a really long time, and we're actually going to have a shot at it. As long as we just have to worry about Vanderbilt. Take care of what's in front of us. Don't get out in front of our skis and start thinking about Georgia and all that other crap. Think about going down to Nashville and dominating Vandy. That's why we need to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's to me, that's going to be another one of the biggest question. Well, it's not even a question mark. It was probably a question maybe heading into this week. Once I saw teams starting to lose, I said, "Oh my gosh, this Vanderbilt game is about to mean a whole lot more." That was kind of my question: is how focused will we be? Because this is a road game technically, but it's down the street, right? I mean, and we're going to have a lot more fans there, so it shouldn't feel too much like a road game outside of all the like regular travel and being inside of a cramped up locker room, cold shower stuff that you got to deal with whenever you go on road games. But yeah, I think that we will be dialed in, Tim, and that's why I've got a whole lot of confidence. All right, so let's get to this one right here from Money Controls It All. I think red zone issues are penalties, but also they, for some reason, make weird play calls. 12-man run the damn ball from Sampson, then push tight end out for chip block RPO. Yeah, okay, so that is a football that's a football guy for sure. Because I've been saying the exact same thing, Tim. Right, like we've been talking about that all season. In that 12 personnel, it should be so deadly because we have people that can block with a really strong running game, but they can also fake the block and go out for passes.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was talking about. It seems like there's more that could be done from a play calling perspective, and that's a really good point too about those penalties because the penalties have killed us down there. But we should be able to overcome that. Like we should, because we have so much talent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get right here to my dog, Scott V. What's going on, Scott? If we use Nico's legs in the red zone, our numbers will improve. That's another excellent point. We haven't done that yet this year, but should in the playoffs, I hope. Yeah, I kind of felt like maybe in that Georgia game, maybe it was more towards the end of that Alabama game. It was one game where I said, okay, all of a sudden the training wheels have come off. We're going to let Nico run the football. Whenever Nico does run the ball, the offense, obviously everything else opens up because you could already run the football well with the running backs. The offensive line does a great job there. Tight ends do a really nice job there. And then if you go 12 personnel, you've got the one-on-one coverage on the outside. So you got to stack that box up. But if you can go dive, okay, on a read option, Nico keeps it, scampers for it, even if it's 10, 15, even if it's 8, right? Next time, play action, or this would be more of like an RPO. Stick it in there, roll out, throw it up. We saw that happen. Well, that was more of just like a straight-up sprint up, but we saw that versus Alabama to Dante Thornton. That's the thing that would make his legs so deadly. It opens up so many different possibilities just from a play calling perspective. So I think that we'll start to see it a whole lot more, Scott. That was a great call. Unsung is saying if we're serious about getting in the playoffs, then we'll treat this game like a playoff game. Yeah, Tim, do you feel like this is a playoff situation?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, you win this or you win this and you're in. If you don't, you're not. There's no way if you lose to Vandy, you're going to be in the playoff. But these guys know that. I don't think there's going to be any issue with those guys getting up for this game. They know what's on the line. We've heard them all talk about it. Hopefully they had a really great week of practice, a lot of focus, and, going in there with an axe to grind like they've got something to prove. And, look, man, if we win this game, the world's in front of us. And with all these crazy matchups with rivalry games this week and then the SEC game, who knows what, I want a first home game in Neyland so we can break some decibel records. That's what I want, man. Because let me tell you something. Look, the stadium always gets up for the Alabama and the Georgia games, but you give us a home playoff game.
Oh my goodness!
Oh Lord. Hey, it will be legit. It will be. I don't care what tickets are. I'll probably buy one for that one if that happens.
Yeah, hey, Tim, I've been thinking the exact same thing. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm like, damn, how am I going to be? Because that's something that I would love to do.
We need to take the blue chip breakdown on the road for that one, brother.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm seriously considering doing that. All right, so let's get to some more here. And this one right here from Scott saying I think we already got to that one, but there's another one I thought that I saw from Scott. Okay, here it is right here. He's saying that we need to take Vandy serious, they will be ready to fight. Yeah, man. Vandy is a good team. Vandy, I know I've said that several times, but they are a very good football team. And now P is saying in the red zone, We run a lot of one-man routes. We need a better playbook in that area of the field. That's another excellent point because I don't understand. So, number one, whenever you've got all those weapons, why are we not utilizing drags? We don't even run drags in the middle of the field. I think we might have only run maybe 2 or 3 drags this whole season. That's just inexcusable. Like I can't fathom why we would not have that in our playbook more. Like why we would not try to use that more. Like why? Whenever teams are playing you deep, the drags are there and it works in the middle. It works anywhere on the daggone field. So that is something, I want to see more of that. Like I want to see some more pick routes where, the tight ends look more comfortable doing it and they're not throwing their hands out and stuff and getting us penalties. I mean, it should be very natural rubs. Like it's, I don't know. There are some things that have been frustrating to me. And, I'm just going to tell y'all, I do feel like Coach Heupel is calling plays. I do. I just think that he's getting to a point right now where he needs to get some fresh ideas. Somebody's got to come in from the outside. It's been too much of him. Hey, I don't want to bring people in with this offense from the outside. And now his offense has gotten a little bit stale. You got to bring in some fresh stuff, man. Like bring in something fresh so that you can open things up, because I do kind of feel like people have figured out what we're trying to do, what our tendencies are, to a point that has been detrimental to our vertical passing game, which is what this offense was pretty much based off of.
You can tell we're missing Golish, man. I mean,
we miss Golish in a major way.
Golish was extremely creative, and I think between him and Heupel, you had a really great mix. Where I feel like with Halsey, you've got Heupel and Heupel. Does that make sense?
That 100% makes sense, because that's what I think too. Let me get to this real quick. From Money Controls It All, he has become a member. Thanks so much for becoming a member of this channel. So he's going to get the exclusive access to our film sessions. If you would also like to become a member and get the access to our film breakdowns, you can do so by clicking on the join button just below. Also, shout out to all of our members. And if you would like to donate to the channel, you can do so by scanning the Cash App QR code in the top right-hand corner. I will have a link down in the description below. It's not going to be here right now, but on the replay, y'all will see it. So shout out to everyone that has been donating. We appreciate the support so much. Also, if you're just now joining us, please make sure to like and subscribe. And this midweek chat is about all of y'all. We're going to go for about 5 more minutes, so get your questions in. And then, we're going to call it a night and get ready for some Thanksgiving and football tomorrow, man. Family time and
Turkey Day. That's right.
Yep. Turkey Day. Yes, sir. All right. So let me come right back here, because I do want to, well, actually, you know what I'm going to do instead? I want to go, Tim, to ESPN, because I want to take a look at some of the matchups, right? Like I know it's early. We don't typically look at those matchups. And we looked at them for just a second with the status report, but I want to take a look at some of the national ones because, man, there are some major implications coming up. I think that'd be fun for us to touch on real quick.
Sir.
So right here. All right. This is who all is this? Also, this is the SEC. And actually tomorrow, or I'm sorry, not tomorrow, but on Friday, we'd have Mississippi State and Ole Miss. It would actually be good if Mississippi State beat Ole Miss. And then Georgia
I would love that.
I would love that so much. Then we got Tech versus Georgia coming up on Friday. Tim, I don't know if we're gonna. Well, obviously we're not gonna pick that game. But what do you think about that matchup, man?
For Georgia Tech and Georgia?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, I would love anybody to beat Georgia. Like, that's just a given. But I don't know, man. I mean, Georgia Tech's not a horrible team this year. I don't know if they have enough, but maybe they do. I mean, it depends on which Georgia team we see come out and play. We've seen them come out and just not look very Georgia-like, Georgia past. You know what I mean? So what version do we get? I think they know what's on the line. So, Kirby's going to be in those kids' ears, and, he's going to have them breathing fire when they come out on that field. Be a little bit more interesting if it was at Georgia Tech and not in Athens, right? But,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, they could sneak up and beat them. I mean, they snuck up and beat Miami. I don't exactly think Miami's on the same caliber of Georgia by any means, but they can make it a game, man. If they catch them sleeping, they can do something.
Yeah, and then too, sometimes, man, I have so much stuff going on that I'll start off saying something and then I'll just stop. But let me finish my thought about Coach Heupel and Coach Halsey. I do think that. I think that Halsey is a little bit too much of a yes man. And I don't know that obviously because I've never been up there, but that's just kind of like the vibe that I get. So it would be good. And I've heard also like behind the scenes that Golis was a guy that had some more fire to him. Like he maybe would challenge hype on some things and that type of stuff. As long as it's healthy, that's great. Like you need people because iron sharpens iron. You don't want just, oh, I'm just going to go with whatever you say, sir. Like we need a little bit of pushback. Like if he's wrong, tell him that he's wrong so that we can all be right. That's the best way to do it. And I'm not saying for sure that Halsley, isn't doing that or is doing that because I don't know. That's just how it kind of feels like things have gone. And that's to your point, Tim, why I do think that we miss a guy like Alex Golesh. But yeah, so going back to Georgia versus Tech, I'm going to tell y'all, man. So for most of y'all know that my nephew Braylon Bray, he plays at Buford High School here in Georgia. So they have 7-on-7 tournaments over the summer, and we went up to Georgia Tech for one of them. And actually, I've got videos up. Travis Smith was there. So that was like that was one of my first times seeing him in person. But I knew that he was coming to Tennessee based off of what I'm about to tell you here. So we're getting up. I'm with my family. We're trying to find a spot on campus to park, and I'm hearing something over the music inside of the car as we're looking for this parking spot driving around campus. And it's like, what is that noise going on outside? But then once we finally get to park, I start to hear it better than we get out of the car. We're probably about, I'll say like a quarter of a mile from the stadium, which is where the 7-on-7 was. And I'm hearing it. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what this is. It's Georgia's fight song. So I'm thinking like, why in the hell is Georgia Tech playing Georgia's fight song? So we get up to the stadium, just like looking down from the stands, right? And I see Georgia Tech's players down there running sprints, getting ready. That song, Georgia's fight song, played. I am not kidding with y'all for at least an hour, and I was fired up and ready to go daggone play. I wanted to go see Georgia right then and there. So watching these players going through that, and that's something that's pretty typical. But the look in their eye, that's what got to me. Is I saw that they were all pushing one another and they were ready. And I think that that's a big part of the reason that they went out versus Florida State. And they might have been the main reason that Florida State's entire season went under the tank because they went out there and they played a physical brand of football versus them. I think that they will be ready for this game in Athens. I don't care where it's at. I don't think that they care either. I think that they'll be ready for it. And they will put up one heck of a fight. The game is going to be closer than whatever the heck the spread is right here. What is the spread there, Tim? Let me come back to the other screen. The spread on this right now is at 19. I'm taking that all day long. Georgia's not going to win that game by 19 points. Georgia Tech is going to keep it close, and I would not be surprised if Georgia Tech won it because their strengths of running the football, we already know that coach said run the ball. Like that's what they want to do. He's going to run the football, and I think that they can stop Georgia's running game. And all you got to do versus Carson Beck and versus their offense is stop the middle and stop the screens. And everyone else pretty much has done it except for Tennessee. So, Tennessee and Texas pretty much. But so I think that Georgia Tech has a much better shot than people are giving them credit for, man. I've seen these guys going to work firsthand. Let's come on down. Let's take a look at some more of these games. South Carolina versus Clemson right now. We're not going to get into a true pick because we will be picking this one on Saturday. Clemson's favored by 3 right now. That's one to watch. That one is one to watch. I'm just going to leave it at that. And then we got Louisville, Kentucky. It sounds like Brock's not going to be starting for that game. So Kentucky pretty much mailed it in, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's over. Yeah.
All right. Obviously the Iron Bowl, Auburn versus Alabama. That one could be pretty close. Right now, 11.5 point favorite is Alabama.
I'd feel a lot better about that one if it was at Jordan Hare.
I would too.
That was at Jordan Hare. Look, Jordan Hare's got voodoo for Alabama. That's all there is to it. And But listen, any of these games, these are rivalry games, man. Things can happen. Like you just never know.
Florida State, that one's gonna be big. Oklahoma, LSU, we talked about that. Texas. Okay, so yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of big ones. All right, so we're gonna get this on up out of here, and we're gonna get back to the chat. Let's see, what all did we miss? Okay, so right here, this one, right?
Yep.
Okay, so right here from Colorblind saying, does Tennessee get a home playoff game? We're hoping so. Right now, we don't have one. Right now, we will be on the road in Athens. But obviously, the way that the playoff rankings and everything look, the bracket, and actually, I think I have that down here. I'll pull that up. But how this looks right here, right? So this is how it would look today. But this is going to change because several teams will have to. And the one game that I was trying to get to right there, Tim, was Notre Dame versus USC. That one's big. And we will be picking that one, but that's going to have major implications for Tennessee, but not just for us, also Alabama, man. It sounds like they're doing their best to put Alabama back in. So if Notre Dame loses, then everything else bumps up. They're also talking about maybe SMU or somebody else. Is SMU already in right here? Okay, so SMU's already in. So yes, I guess it will be Bama or South Carolina. They would have a chance to kind of backdoor their way in. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Let's get to the next one right here. From Money Controls It All. I wonder if sometimes Halsley just doesn't see the field or read defenses correctly. Love the channel. I'm going to upgrade that membership. Thank you. We appreciate it so much. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I think, Tim, I think that you really hit on something there, saying that it kind of feels like that's Heupel's show and he has no pushback. You know what I'm saying? Because it would be very hard for me to believe, Tim, if you've been around football for this long, that you can't spot weaknesses inside of a defense, right?
Well, I think the thing with those two guys is they're really the same guy. Like,
yeah,
they've spent time together at Oklahoma. They've said, these guys there's a long history of these guys. I think they have the same ideas, and obviously Heupel has tutored him and brought him along. I think it's just it's a little too much of the same, is what I think. I'm not hating on Halsey, I think I just want to see a little bit more creativity, and I think that was the difference with having Golish, was you had a whole different mindset going there. So we got to see all sorts of crazy things. I honestly thought the first part of the Georgia game, at least the first half, was we saw some different things. I actually did a couple different things that handing it to who was it, Kitzelman, that dove over, and we haven't seen that this year. Okay, that was good. I just want to see some more stuff like that, some more creativity. Also, when they go into those games like that, if we wind up having to play Georgia again, I want them to have a first half game plan and a second half game plan. You know what I mean? Like, don't just, hey, we're going to do this one thing all the way through. Let's change some things up. Let's mix it up. Let's get creative.
Yeah, and you know what? So yours looking at that a little bit differently than what I was, just with Halsley and Heupel. And I mean, yeah, I do. I think that's very, very true. But either way, right? And I didn't mean to put that on you, because those are my thoughts. But I do think that not even just for the offense, but even for like with the defense, somebody has got to be able to talk to the coordinators and say, hey, listen, like, this is what they're doing now. Have you thought about doing this? Because sometimes you do, in those moments, you have to call the plays so quick. Everything happens so fast. So you might have a game plan. You have people kind of scouting and like, okay, this is what we're seeing here and there. So what do you want to do now, coach? Like, this is what they're doing differently. And you just, like, in those moments, sometimes you might just kind of freeze up. And we need for someone to know enough football and to have enough freedom to speak and say, listen, coach, we need to try this. Like, try this, coach. Try this out. Let's see how this works. I don't think that we have too much of that, because like we said, versus Georgia, the defense didn't look good in the second half, really the entire game for me. And then also you can go back to Alabama last season, where we were winning that game at half. We come back, yeah, the refs definitely cheated us out of that game. But even still, it looked like, especially like with the defense, we just did not have a clue. Like, if teams adjust sometimes, we have no counter to it.
Yeah.
And that's got to get fixed.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, let me get to – do we get to this one right here? From Unsung. Remember, at one time, Kirby promoted his buddy to OC, and their offense wasn't good. Hey, man, yeah, I think that kind of like just happened this season, actually. Their offense has – and, that was that's something that he had to do. Kirby is another one, man. He does stupid stuff. Like, he'll bring in a whole bunch of Georgia people to run his stuff. And Georgia definitely misses Monken, man. Monken was a way different offensive coordinator. The offense was different. That was harder to stop. Mike Bobo's stuff is very, very predictable, which is why I get so frustrated that we did not stop it this season, because we actually have the talent to do it. That one's going to hurt me until we see them again. P saying, would you rather we beat Georgia in the playoffs but not win it all, or UGA lose to Tech in the SEC championship and not make the playoffs and win the whole thing? P, that, you know what, you always do this. You always put me in these situations, man.
Love it.
All right, so I would say obviously I want for us to win the whole doggone thing because that's something we can rub in their face. But I do think that we will probably have to go through Georgia to get there, man, and that would make it even sweeter. But of course, we want for our Volunteers to win the whole doggone thing, Tim.
No, 100%. I just want us to win it all. I don't care if we beat. Look, would it make the championship sweeter if we got to beat Georgia to get it? Of course it would. But
Yeah.
I don't really care. Is man, I honestly I would rather us get a chance to beat up on a bunch of Big Ten teams than play Georgia again, just because I want to see I want to see some SEC teams get to play some Big Ten teams and let's see who the real big dogs are, right? That's kind of the way I feel about that. But if we got to play Georgia, we got to play Georgia, and on a neutral field, be pretty interesting. Hopefully, they come up with a good game plan.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, whoever's in the way better get out the way, or they're gonna get ran over. I don't care who it is.
Yes,
That's my mindset heading into this thing.
yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna get to these last few right here, y'all. And we're gonna call it a night. Money controls it all, saying Georgia fights on for an hour should be illegal in all 50 states. I love that, man. 100%, 100%. Also for money controls it all. Not that Halsley can't spot stuff, but does he see it quick enough to change the play? Also, Timmy G, that's my exact thoughts. Same guy means just one minds and two bodies. Yeah. Okay. So
that's my feeling.
Yeah, excellent thoughts right there. Yeah, so that's something that we also pretty much thought of, or that we pretty much just talked about. It's not always about just not seeing it, but you got to dude, the coaching stuff. And that's another one of my problems with the tempo, because with the tempo, the offense, you can't say, hey, I want for the offense to, do this and that and all these different crazy things and think that you can go tempo, because we're not playing Madden. You know what I'm saying? It's very difficult to run the tempo and open up the entire playbook. If you're going to run more tempo, things are going to be a lot more basic typically, because you don't have the time to think. You're going to be you're calling the play before the first one even ends. See what I'm saying? You might call 2 or 3 plays just to keep the things going. So that's one of my knocks with the tempo, and that's why I'm glad that we are kind of slowing things down more to get into the right play. The problem now for me has been, even with things being slowing down, we're not always getting to the right play, and to me that is an issue, and that needs to be fixed in the offseason. I'm going to tell y'all that straight up. All right, so right here from Charles Toast, and this will be the last one. I've heard a couple of guys say that Tennessee doesn't have the players at wide receiver to really scare teams. What's your thoughts on that? So I'm going to say real quick, I understand why they're saying that. It's not because we don't have the actual talent. It's because they're not producing. You know what I'm saying?
Put it on tape.
Right. Right. You have to show that. You have to actually do that. And if you're not doing it, then there's nothing for us to fear.
Exactly. We've got the guys. Don't think that our guys there's plenty of times we've seen on tape that we've got guys running behind the DBs. It's just Nico's not seeing them, or we're overthrowing them. It's just something always a little bit off there. It's not that we don't have the talent. I think our wide receiver room is one of the deepest rooms that we have. It's just like what we said, though, we're just not putting it on tape. Not enough for them to be terrified. And maybe, we're comparing everything to Jalen Hyatt, Hendon Hooker. Guys, come on, man. That's those are some of the best times in Tennessee in a very long time. So
yeah, but I still think that we should be somewhere closer to that than we are right now. And that, Tim, that is, I think that is a problem. We've got to get it going down the field. And hopefully, we've said this every single week. Maybe it's this week, right? Maybe it's this week, but maybe it is this week. This will be a perfect week for us to get that going. But that's going to be it, man. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving, happy Turkey Day, happy holidays, all of that good stuff. I hope that it's the best that y'all have ever had. We probably won't see y'all tomorrow, but we will be back more than likely on Friday. But please make sure to like and subscribe on your way out, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Yes, sir. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Stay safe.
All right, y'all. Peace.